I scored this 2007 Polaris Sportsman for 250 bucks. Now the guy was originally asking 450. When I got there, I checked it out. I offered him 200. He countered me back with 250. All right. This is gonna be the redeeming unit for all the parts I bought for the red Sportsman. So we've got a bunch of stuff for this to begin with. Now, to start with, I know this much. Recoil isn't functional. Now I got a little worried when I was checking it out because it didn't want to turn over with the starter at first either. It does turn over. It turns over very slowly with my jump box on it. No big deal, there could be some other stuff with it. He said he did not try to work on it. I don't know if that's true or not. Our fuel line is disconnected, and when this turns on, yeah, it spews some stanky fuel. He didn't have the footwells or the side covers, which is kind of a bummer. I've got the footwells, but these side covers ain't real cheap, so we're gonna have to buy those. I didn't even look at the air filter. Yep. Air filter looks good. Real good. It's not wet though, so that's a plus. Looks like that boot's torn, so. On the listing, it said for parts. I didn't ask any questions. It was a 2-hour drive over there. And I think I spent like $75 in fuel, give or take. I went way out of my way to grab something to eat. Now, this unit was a good surprise because it doesn't say EFI on it. I thought they all said EFI on them if it was fuel injected. So that's cool. I'd rather have EFI. Something happened back here on this fender. The seat's obviously toast. What else did we have an issue? Oh, the tires. The tires are shot. This one back here isn't even on the bead. But so far it doesn't look like it needs every bearing and bushing. The guy who I bought this from told me he was riding it, but and just shut off. It just popped, died. Cool. So no telling what's actually wrong with it. I did notice this is messed up and this is non-functional. And unfortunately, we have no idea how many hours it has because the gauge is no good, which is a bummer. But I don't think this is super high hours, super clapped type unit. Just given the fact that like the front storage box lid isn't broken. It's missing the latches, but it's not broken. There's still a yellow jacket in there. All right, we got some of the shop wash spray. It's the good stuff too. Kills on contact. Let's get him. Yep. I'm allergic and I ain't dying today, bro. Okay, there was a lot more of them, but we lost them on the drive home. Now it looks like there's some sort of, right here, a whole lot of 410 shells. I get a lot of rounds in this shop. Some cheesy screwdrivers. Oh no, tell me that's, oh, it's a 3/8. I thought I was about to get lucky with a 10mm. I don't have nothing to put the, is that 410? No, it's 20 gauge. Got myself a nice tester though. Check that out. Fancy voltage tester, a 27mm, which sucks. I was really hoping this would be a 25. I saw that yesterday when we were stopped at the gas. Oh, it's an 8 and a 10, boys. What's that? I'm missing a couple stuff, 15, 16s. I don't know American sockets that well. So the one thing I want to know is if this thing will start on some action sauce, and then we can go from there. Judging by that air filter, she might need a rebuild. But we still have, technically the only thing I don't have that we could potentially need are valves, which I have exhaust valves, I know that. I don't have intake valves. I don't have valve seals, and that's it. Besides that, I still have the top end gasket from the other unit because I had pulled it all apart. I guess I could put that other head on if I needed. We'll see. The way he described kind of sounded, you could potentially be camshaft or potentially valves out of spec. Potentially the top end just took a dump. Oh, I didn't even check the oil in it. Let's see if it's even got oil. Now this oil is probably gonna be janky, but there's some oil in it. Looks like it's about full. Nasty. Hadn't been changed in a long time. All right, and we're gonna use the battery that came off of that other Sportsman because no use in wasting a good battery. One thing I did notice yesterday is the front drive shaft's in pretty bad shape. probably gonna end up having to replace it, the whole unit, the whole drive shaft, because it needs U-joints, and there is play on the shaft side. That other one, man, that other Sportsman, when I started taking it apart, the oil in it was watery. That's the best way to put it. The oil was watery and so thin. And then the drive shaft was stripped on the transmission shaft. The transmission would have had to have been replaced, or the snorkel gear, I believe that is called, would have to be replaced to basically just to be able to fix that. I had a feeling that it was just too far gone to fix it. This one, I do not have that feeling. We're just gonna hope it doesn't need a whole lot. I honestly, as dirty as that is, I'd be surprised if it doesn't need a top end. That's what, maintenance is important. So I'm telling you, maintenance is important, because something as simple as a $10 air filter on Amazon will keep this unit going. I saw an air filter this bad once. It was on a unit that had been sunk. This has been wet. Yeah, it was wet. That's mold. You can only get that wet like that. I wonder if this was sunk. Possibility. Let's just see. Give it a shot. That's what it did yesterday when I put my jump box on it. It was turning over real slow. Pump's priming. So he had said he had put like a new starter on this. I guess the next step, I'm gonna check out and see if it's the starter that's the issue. We're gonna pop the clutch cover off, pop the clutches off, because you can do it. I believe it can be done without pulling the clutches, but trying to get to those bolts, it's such a pain. So, and not to mention, I can turn it over by hand once I have the clutch cover off. And once I turn it over by hand, I can evaluate, hey, is this a viable engine, or do I need to just go ahead and pull this? So we're losing some belt chunks down here. Oh no. Something's wrong. Something is very wrong internally. Look at that, there's a chunk of the clutch gone. And something is wrong with this inside of this motor. I can hear it turning over, but that's not right. I don't know how you break that piece of the clutch off, and it's gotta have been running it for a while like that, because, well, the other half of it did not fall out down here. All right, so I went ahead and zipped all the plastics off this thing, and we'll go from there and see what's going on here. I'm gonna start with pulling this plug and see if it's gonna tell us anything. It's probably not, because spark plugs can't talk. I wanna see if there's something on it. I mean, the quad doesn't look like it's been deep mudded, but I am questioning if it's been sunk, because that filter's been soaking wet. But it could have been them spraying it down with like a carb cleaner or something of that sort. That is rust. Interesting. So it is very, very questionable now if this thing's been sunk, and this should turn over super easy, and it really isn't. So look at the piston. Oh yeah, boss. There's definitely been some water in there. I guess we're not gonna know the extent of the damage. We're gonna have to pull this head off. Really question if I should just go ahead and pull the motor. Nah, screw it. We'll just pull the head off real quick. It looks like we got two valves stuck open right there. I'm gonna take the cam tower off. The valves were not rusted, stuck open. That was just the way I left the cam tower. But so here's our cylinder. And look at that cylinder wall right there. That's pretty rough. I mean, y'all let me know. I actually just wiped this out because the coolant fell into the cylinder. For some reason, I could never remember to drain the cylinder's coolant before I pulled ahead, but whatever. Anyway, so you see all the rust right there, and that's pretty thick. All that rust on that piston, and then this right here that I can't see very well because it's on the top, but there's some deep scoring right there that I could feel. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I put my phone in there. I don't know, guys. I don't know. This might be about to be a full rebuild. We got to pull this cylinder off. The cylinder is definitely part of our problem, but as much friction you feel turning it over by hand with the clutch, that I don't think that rust is enough to cause that. Let's see if it's still like that. Maybe, check this out. I've never seen one do this. Look at the way that piston flexes. I don't know, maybe we can do just the top end. Let's pull it out, let's see, let's see. So there's our exhaust. That thing's definitely had water in it. Huh. Our exhaust is now on the floor. Someone sunk this. And the only way it wouldn't have been sunk is if this lid got left off or something and allowed moisture in. Get to ripping the rest of this out of here. Y'all let me know in the comments if you're team positive and hoping this thing didn't need a full rebuild, or if as soon as we saw that water damage, you're like, full rebuild. Yeah, let me know. I'm just curious, you know. Golly, that piston's bad. Woo! That got worse. Just looking at it. Yep. That rod is toast. Yeah, I'll probably have to, I'm gonna replace that crank. I don't want to try to run that. I could try polishing it out and all that, but nah. And the pictures don't even do it justice how bad that is. But that does not want to move on the rod. I mean, down there, that side of the rod bearing is fine. It's just seized right here. And I don't know, I kind of wonder what would have caused that, if that is oil starvation. I mean, that would have to be oil starvation for this to happen right here. When you don't maintain your unit, this is what happens. You chew up a bunch of air into it, and from there, it just gets worse and worse. You should really listen to my intuition on some of this stuff. It's like, I knew I should have pulled this motor from the start. Wishful thinking. The cylinder is just as bad. Look at that. It's chewed up. So this thing wasn't running good whenever it died on the guy. It's kind of hard to tell whether this was sunk or maybe that airbox lid just got left off and it was exposed to moisture. It's hard to say. I know that I got my work cut out for me at this point because we're about to have to rebuild the entire engine. I'm gonna go eat lunch and then I'm gonna come back to this, rip this motor out of here, and we're gonna put it on the bench and rebuild it. Luckily, I should have everything to rebuild this. All right, so our engine is out. Now I was wrong. We did not have a bad motor mount. We have 3 bad motor mounts. This one ripped smooth off of there, and both of those ripped off. And we got a stiff rod. You can hardly move that thing. But look at that. It ate into that. This being so stiff is likely how that got broken. Someone trying to pull start it while it was, you know, messed up. Before we get started, completely tear into this thing, we got some parts that we're gonna be using. This seat right here, this is the one that we bought for the other unit. This is the cylinder we bought for the other unit. These guys wouldn't take a return. And that one I didn't feel like returning because I trashed the box already. And we got this here. This is the piston from the other unit that I bought. I actually tried to return this and they just sent me my money back. Same thing with these tie rod ends. These came from the other unit and we're gonna need the outers. Same thing with this here gasket. This came from the red one that was scrapped. I'd already gotten into this and utilized the valve seals. So I bought this gasket kit to utilize the valve seals out of it. Anyway, we're not gonna use this. This is probably the cheapest gasket kit they have on Amazon, and I mean, don't get me wrong, the base gasket and stuff, most of these gaskets would probably work just fine. This head gasket, see how thin that is? Look at how much thicker that one is. I realize it's in there, and this is noticeably heavier. So, I don't know what these thicker ones are for, or why they're so much thicker on the quality kits, but it's, yeah. In this kit right here, I've actually used this head gasket before. The tune of like 12 bucks for an entire gasket kit. Yeah. Anyway, over here we got some new latches and we got some new U-joints. And since one side was all stripped out, we've got a new slip joint it came with the U-joint. Used those before, they work great. Air filter and oil filter, that came together as a kit. This right here, I already put the valve seals in. That's why you don't see them. They're somewhere else. We'll go over there in a second. They're already installed. I'll show you that in a second. This right here is a brand new front master that I had to buy not too long ago because the cap was missing on one of the units. And lo and behold, do you know what Polaris wants for that cap? $86. So I bought I don't know how much that thing cost, 25 bucks, front master, just for the cap. This front master has a cap, so I'm gonna use it. We got some exhaust cam lobes. These are the exhaust, bigger ones are the exhaust cam. These are for the others. And that's all the shells I pulled out of that front storage box. But these ones usually ain't a problem. And this right here, normally they'll wear out like a flat spot in it. Not that little scratch, there's nothing we can do about that. That comes from the decompression lever or decompression ball thing that sits on top of the cam. It's for the decomp. Brutal Parts sent that over to us, I guess, since he heard I was doing a Polaris, he assumed I needed a cam. Because ours is just fine. Just a little bit of oil on there. Dang, I might use one. Yeah, I'm gonna use one of those other ones. Besides that, we've got a switch right here. I actually think this is brand new. I don't remember why it's sitting out there, but I'm pretty sure this is new. I don't know if I bought that for a tester, whatever. I've had it for a while. And we got some motor mounts. This is either gonna get new ones or used ones. I'm pretty sure the new ones will be the ones to go in because the Sportsman's will have on the crankcase side, if I remember correctly, the Sportsman's have fine threads and the Rangers have this more coarse thread. I don't know why they would do it differently. It seems stupid, really stupid, because besides that, like, the cases are the same. I know when I swap these out in these engines, if I swap a Ranger engine into a Sportsman or the other way around, you gotta swap this off and the stator flywheel. Besides that, it's all good. Dang, they didn't put both bolts back in there, in the starter. There's only one of them in there. But we're gonna get this thing rebuilt. I wanna get that done today, get all that apart and wash it. I need to get a parts washer because right now I hands and knees and diesel, but I already went through and washed this. It had real bad oil built up in it. Valves and everything cleaned up good, so I ain't stressing it. I'm gonna show y'all some tricks on these Sportsman engines when you put them together. What makes it really cool when you're building these engines, like what makes these 500s so simple. This does not apply to the Predator 500. I'm talking Ranger 500, Sportsman 500, and it's gotta be 96-ish four-stroke 500 to 2013 or 14. Don't quote me on that because there's a newer 500 engine that's a ProStar engine, and I don't know if it's just a piece of junk or what, but every one of them I find online that has crank failure, you can't get cranks for them. I don't know what the deal with that is. They should have stuck with this 500 engine. It's a better engine, better platform, parts are available. Anyway, it's the same. There's also the 400 and the 450. Basically, if the engines look the same, it is. I mean, they changed nothing on these things. So like, I mean, When you're doing the teardown, everything's basic hand tools basically, except for this. This is the only thing that you do have to have a special puller for. I know my puller was an expensive one. This is a EPI, I think it was like $100. When I bought this puller all those years ago, like there wasn't other pullers available. Now there's a bunch of them on Amazon, eBay that look identical from them ripping these guys off. This here are my case splitter bolts. I need to get regular bolts for this because this is about the only thing I use this for. And I could get some bolts that are like the right length and just have to stick them in. One thing you want to make sure, if you've never done this before, especially if you have this same thing, don't take, like, because you can use an impact if you got a regular bolt head. These, like I said, these are from my case splitter. But if you use an impact and you run it in too far, it'll run these into the stator and ruin your stator. Then I'll just give her the beans. Okay. See those holes right there, they'll go right into the stator. Completely ruin it. See, this quad looks a lot nicer on the outside than it does on the inside. Another thing you want to check is this is right here is a common failure point. Like these go bad. I might replace this with another one. I'm not sure yet because this is borderline sketchy. But don't forget your thrust washer. The only one goes on the back side and one doesn't go up here on the front because it's got a little springy mechanism thingy built in. Take this, set it sideways. I don't think I remember to drain the oil. And these right here, once the engine's out, they're not too bad to pull. Maybe, coarse thread. You know what's weird is I felt like this engine, if I remember right, because earlier I mentioned that this right here, but I can look at it right there. I could have swore the big one like this did not come on Sportsman's. I could be wrong on that. But I thought this, to get this big nipple, it had to be a Ranger. Now I'm a little confused. Especially considering these that just came out of here are, that's coarse thread. So I wonder if this is possibly already an engine swapped. Or maybe I'm just wrong and it was certain years came with fine threads versus coarse threads. So it looks like we're using used bolts, used motor mounts. And remember which one your motor mount's going, okay? Because it sucks to try to put that back together and it be in the wrong spot. And so like these over here, you can just take these 5 bolts out. You do not have to take the 3 bolts out right there. And we just need something to break that free. Without messing any of the surfaces up. I'm gonna take that out of there. So I'm gonna go through and wash all of this. It's always fun and time consuming. And you know, if you're taking stuff like this apart and not fixing it the same day, make sure you keep good track of stuff because if you lose it, it costs you money. Now, it's just a bunch of case bolts. Now this is gonna be the opposite of popular belief, but if your crank's already trash, who cares? You can use a case splitter, but if you've already got a trash crank, you should drain your fluids first. unlike me. I don't know what the deal is with that. Like, why do I always forget to drain the fluids? The only thing to be careful of is when you're doing this, your hands get real oily, and the hammer will slip out from underneath you real fast. There we go. One half of the case is out. Now we just need to get this half out. Hopefully the oil pump's good. I believe this had an engine failure straight up from as far as I could tell, just lack of maintenance. Like almost every one of these engines I mess with, it's always the same thing, lack of maintenance. Lack of maintenance. And I'll go through and clean this and test it, but yeah, pump's probably fine. It's not all stopped up or anything. Counterbalance out, and then, so this thing owes me money, and nice healthy smack. This crank right here can go to the trash. You know what sucks? It used to be these gears right here were worth like 200 bucks. And then Power Sports Nation remanufactured them, and they were selling them for like 100 bucks. Now you can get them for 20 bucks. All right, now I'm finally done with the hardest part of all this, and that's cleaning all of these parts. It's very easy to do. So I set it up like this with like a board on each side, and then just get this case real nice and hot. I hope I'm not about to run out of propane. I think that's the only thing I got too. Basically, we're gonna get this real hot, and then we can just drop the crank right in. Our new to us replacement crank. Wanna make sure we're nice and hot, so I don't have to try to do this twice. Definitely see it over here getting this case hot, because it's, no matter what I do to dry that diesel off of it from using it for washing, no matter what, never fails. I can't get all the oils out of that. All right, one drop. Yeah, got her in there. We're good to go on that. All right, I'm gonna let this cool down a bit before I put the rest of it together. All right, it's a little bit cooler. One of the things you wanna do is make sure you oil your bearings, especially if you just ran them through the wash. Make sure they're good and oiled. Now on your counterbalance here, there's a dot right there. See that? When you assemble it, you're gonna line it up with that dot. So like that. Take and we'll put this just like that, see? The two dots are meshing with each other. And then you can rotate that around to be sure, because if you put it in wrong, this piece right here will like smack the rod bearing right there. Ask me how I know. I did that on a Grizzly 660 once. And then now we're going to get our oil pump. Just goes right in there. Voila! This little gear, it doesn't matter how you put it on there, because it's the oil pump, so it's fine. Put that down on there. I believe this goes on this side. Yeah. You got two bolts. They're supposed to have some Loctite on them. And then on this, I spray a rag like that, just because I probably got oil all over this when I was putting that stuff on there. And since this isn't like a paper gasket, I don't want, oh, messed piece of silicone right there. And I'm not gonna lie, I make a mess of the oil in this too. Just, I would rather have plenty of lubrication than the opposite and, you know, throw a rod because of it. I heat this other case half up a little, just to hopefully make things easier. Now we need to get our moto seal down. And I buy this stuff at AutoZone, O'Reilly, Amazon. I'll put a link to the stuff that I use. And I just kind of put a thin layer all the way around to make sure that I'll have enough. I'll take my paintbrush and I'll go Pablo Picasso. Yep, we just paint it on there. Just like that. I don't want to make too much of a mess out of it, but you also don't want it to be too thin. You know? Do not use orange RTV ever on anything. This shit's tacky. I don't know why they made it like that, but whatever. I hate RTV. This stuff is not the same thing. And then now, we're ready to go. This son of a bitch hot. Take my dead blow hammer and we're gonna smack her around a little bit. Remember, this is a dead blow hammer, not a Thor hammer. We're not trying to defeat Thanos. You just want to make sure you got a good seal, you know? Now that seal's basically on there, bolt her down. And all these crankcase bolts on these ones are the same size. So, don't matter where you put them. Yes. I do the Milwaukee inch-pounds on this for torque specs. I had to switch batteries. My torque specs were off a tad. Let's make sure everything still rolls over like it should. Oil pump's definitely pumping. I can hear her. And we got this in. New speedometer, 0 miles on there. All right, well, we gotta get this piston put together. Get the rings and such on it. All right, you get your piston on there. And your circlip. Woo! I'm gonna lose this thing. Them circlips can make you really question things. This is a good time not to forget your cylinder base gasket. The dots on your piston are gonna go on the stator side. Just like other stuff in life, you don't wanna be going in dry. I guess the guy who I bought this cylinder from, they had already honed it, so it does have a fresh hone on it, which is cool. Now you're going to torque it in a crisscross pattern. I think it said 46 foot-pounds, but don't quote me on that. It's kind of hard to do by yourself. Might have to get personal. Dang it! Gotta get personal with this engine. And you're supposed to oil these bolts so you don't end up tearing it up. It's a brand new torque wrench, honestly. I don't know how it works very well. icon. Okay. I broke my other torque wrench trying to torque something I was not supposed to be torquing. There we go. Double check these two. Okay. There we go. Those ones are good. Now, we're going to go ahead and clean our head surface again. Make sure it's nice and free of any oil. And I'm also going to hope that y'all can actually even hear me over the fan. But with the amount of brake cleaner I'm using in here, I needed some ventilation. Take our head gasket. Put that on there. Head gasket's on. And we've got our cylinder head. We're going to wipe it off too. Make sure you got a nice clean surface. And voila! Got some oil loose up here. Oil on it. Worst case, drips onto my camshaft. Drop it in. I screwed up again. I do not know why I always remember to put these in after I start trying to put the head on. I didn't do either one of the cam chain guides. If you're ever like scared of doing an engine like this, don't worry about it. Just do it. You know, do your best. Try to keep everything as clean as you can. Unless you're building high performance engines, like it's not near as. Just go for it. It's kind of cool to be done with it at the end and say that you put it together yourself. Not to mention there's some dude over in India right now putting an engine together, reforging the entire cylinder head out of Coke cans, drilling it out, resurfacing it with dirt, and the dude has no shoes on the entire time. If they can do it, you can do it. Alright, and I'm not gonna lie, this head bolt sequence is weird. So you do the crisscross pattern like you did on the cylinder bolts. So you're gonna go it's 22 or 21, whatever I just set that to. Bump it up to 51. We're gonna have to get personal again. Come here, baby. Basically, they're torqued to yield bolts, so we're stretching them right now. Okay, this might work out as a better spot to let it sit. So, here's where it gets weird. Now, you're gonna back it off 180 degrees. Okay, it says to loosen them 180 degrees twice, which honestly doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but whatever, because they were already pretty much loose last time around. Now, same crisscross pattern, you're gonna come and torque it to 11 foot-pounds. Then, you're gonna come back 90 degrees. Crisscross pattern still, okay? And you come back, do it another 90 degrees. And these right here are supposed to be 6 foot-pounds. Honestly, I don't have anything that I can get in there with to do that, so you just kind of finger tight. Kind of play by ear. I don't know when my phone ran out of storage space, but you've got 2 little dots right there that line up to your 2 silver links. My hands are covered in oil now. See? And at the bottom, you're at top dead center. There's a dot right there on that pin. It's gonna line up to right there. Now we're at top dead center. It's back together. My phone died, and here we are. Got the motor put back together. I don't know where we left off at on it. So now we're just I'm gonna get all that frame cleaned up, and I'm gonna go ahead and swap the drive shaft joints out real quick before I put this back in there, just cause honestly it'll be easier. I'm gonna go ahead and put these Sunif tires on here too. These brand spanking new. Sunif hooked us up on that set of tires. I was gonna put them on the red quad, but the red quad, well, y'all know. I'm gonna put those directly on here. A direct bolt on. The only downside is I'm not gonna have these wheels, but we're missing half the center caps anyways. Anyway, I wanna be able to roll it forward a little bit, get it out of this mess I made over here. All right, man, it looks so much better with these tires on it. And these Sunifs, they always look good. These are the AO33s. Look good, cool. Motor's ready to go. Did get a new spark plug in, forgot about that. That didn't come in until today. We're about to drop that in there and got some used Polaris grips that we're gonna put on, so we can put that on right there. Because these ones are a little worn out, and throw that gauge on there, the new gauge. One thing that does suck that I just noticed is the carburetor to intake boot, how it's ripped. I went to get the other one out because I was gonna go ahead and clean this box. And lo and behold, the carb one from the carb model is longer than this, the EFI model. So I had to overnight one of those in. Overnighting an OEM one in at that. I got a few parts that are stuff I already had. This here rear rack is in good structural shape. This one's obviously got a bunch of cracks. And the rear storage box, because the one that's on here has a hole and it's missing the door. No big deal. Basically, I just gotta pop the rear plastic and everything off just to get to that. It won't take much from the point that it's at right now. Like by the time I swap the rack out, no biggie. So let's get after it. We're just gonna get going, get moving, do something. Get this put back together real quick. All right, so I guess the battery needs to get charged, but I'm trying to get some of this fuel out of this before I fire it up. And not good, because this pump honestly doesn't look like it's pumping enough to. That still smells like bad gas. I don't want to try to pump that into the injector. I hope we don't need a pump. There's a chance this thing might need a fuel pump. That is definitely not enough pressure to start this. That's definitely not enough pressure. Plus the sending unit's not working either. But you know what? I'm gonna try it out anyways. Interesting. All right, so turns out the fuel pump shot. I ordered the fuel pump a couple days ago. It is supposed to come in tomorrow, but we got a few things that we can go ahead and get done at this point. One of those being the tank's got to come back off, get cleaned out, get the get the pump out of it. For some reason, these rear axles are loose. I don't understand why. We're missing a couple lug nut studs and all 4 of these caps. I'm gonna go ahead and get those put on. And if you see this, so I thought, I was like, we'll go ahead and put some brake fluid in this reservoir and let everything kind of do its thing. And I woke up the next morning, it's bleeding out on the floor through the rear caliper. What's weird is some of this stuff, it's like it never happened to me prior, and then it happened 2 times in a row. So I had a customer unit in here a couple days ago, and he wanted to do new brakes. And so I put a new master on it, and for some reason it did not want to bleed. I set it to the side, came back to it the next morning, and the same thing, just like this. I say that it bled, but then I came back an hour later and they were soft. That's right. These ones I didn't try to bleed yet. It is definitely leaking from somewhere over here on the rear, whether that be from the caliper itself. His was from the piston on the caliper was just gone. He had said it hadn't, I believe he said it hadn't had brakes the entire time he had it. And this one, no telling, you know, no telling when the last time it had brakes was, no telling, but we got to get that stuff handled and basically get it to a point that tomorrow when that fuel pump comes in, we can just put the tank on. Plastic cylinder should be good to go. I did get a very expensive intake boot. Could have saved a ton of money if I'd have known that I was already going to be having to replace this fuel pump. This is what it is. Oh, and I'm going to put new pads on this. I have some cheapo pads that I already had them. So it's going to hurt to just chunk them on there, you know? It looks like I was wrong. It is this right here, the bearing shot. Luckily, I replaced the bearings on the last one, so. So, since I already have another hub, another knuckle with a good bearing, I am just going to swap this thing out, the whole unit. And to remove these, because they can kind of be a pain, I'll take a punch, beat it in, wiggle it, and hope it comes out. There we go. Voila! Sometimes it takes a few tries of beating it in and out. Whole thing comes out with. So we definitely have something messed up in here. As you can see, all the fluid all over that rotor. I've never had a pad that I could move like that. So I bet you that's broken somehow. Let's rip that off and see what it looks like. Look at them pads, it ate all the way through. Use the whole caliper. All right, there it is. And yep, use the whole pad. Honestly, there's only one other thing I've ever seen that that was that bad, and it was my own screw up. I had an F-250 that, yeah, I ran it till that piston blew out. Whoops. This rear caliper is gonna need replaced. I'm gonna go see if I got a used one. Maybe the one off that other unit. All right, we got a new injector and a new fuel pump in. Hopefully we can get this thing running right, and I hope this is right, because this seems huge, but at the same time, it's got the springy thing that makes it go down. Hopefully that's right. Let's hope so. So we're gonna get this tank pulled and pulled back out, clean it out again. Because the first time I could only clean it so much without, you know, really getting into it. And we need to get the airbox cleaned out today too, wherever I put that. Spray all this down with some super clean. And it's foamy because I put regular super clean in the wheel cleaner container that foams like this. There we go. Yeah, this pump's pretty gross. Whew. Yeah. That's pretty bad. So, not the worst I've ever seen, but it's definitely not a good pump. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start getting the rest of this back together. We need to get, I'm gonna put this injector on there anyways, just because I'll be honest with you, it's easier to swap it than it is to end up having to troubleshoot it later. I already have it and it was cheap, so. We get a new injector, new fuel pump, and we can get the intake boot and everything put on the right way. Then we can see if this thing will start. All right, that is in. Get this air box in. It's so much nicer working with any of these types of intake boots when they're new. It'll flex for you. It's not just stiff as a rock. And here we go. The tank. Might have been why it didn't want to run right too, is because it didn't have this. These Polarises, man, they're a little bit finicky with this snorkel tube that's right here. Like, you can't just mix and match whatever. You need to have the right one or it won't run right. Yeah, that pump sounds healthy. All right. Get that pump to run again. There she is. That clutch sounds horrible though. The buttons on it are worn out. Not sure I want to handle that because I don't know if I have another clutch. And I don't have the equipment to pull it apart. But that knocking noise is coming from that clutch. Where you'll get that knocking noise. These buttons right there. See that? And I was hoping this wouldn't be noisy when I started it, but it is. Alrighty, so we're all good. As you can tell, I swapped out the clutch, hoping the clutching in that's not gonna be a problem. Because like almost all these clutches are almost identical. You can put a 1995 Polaris Explorer 300, maybe that was the 400. Anyway, you get the point. A 95 onto a 2010 Razor 800. The clutch will physically fit. There's differences with like one-way bearings, clutches, spring weights, all that good stuff. This one right here, this is not geared. It's not weighted for a 500. I've never tried to put one of these on a 500. Right now I'm just trying to get the system bleeped, man, burped, burped. Trying to get the system burped. I am gonna have to order a exhaust gasket. That donut right here is leaking, unfortunately. Not all I can do about it. It's one of those things, I had a bunch of them. I figured I'd have some ready to go. Should double check that I don't have one over here. Thought I'd have one, but I don't. But we can do pretty far. I mean, that piece I can replace with everything on. But we're gonna get this system burped, the coolant system burped. Making sure the Oil's pumping out of this sump into the cases. At first I was questioning myself on that, but we're good. All right, we should be good to go. I got my wife to help me bleed these brakes. So we got brakes now. Turns out Ranger 500 pads fit on the front of this. They're much larger, but they work. And we need to get these grips put on, and I'm gonna use spray paint for that. Nathan over at Brutal Parts hooked us up with this. If y'all need some used four-wheeler parts, be sure to hit him up. He has a discount code in the description. Save you some money. Can't forget the seal. Somebody will take this thing into any kind of water. Those clutches, they will start slipping. Probably check if mine are wet. I think I smoked my clutch and my belt on the Outlander. Having a little too much fun. Trail sodas were involved. All right, let's set the seat on here and we're gonna take this thing out for a rip. You know, as I sit on this thing, these Chinese seats, I've had multiple 420. I got one coming for the Foreman 400, multiple for these Sportsmans. This one sucks. I have no idea what they made it out of, but it is not soft. All right. Oh yeah, I still need some love on them brakes. Something's not right. The clutching feels fine. Oh man. Takes a little more RPMs to lock it up and get it off the line. But outside of that, it feels fine. Now all the brakes are bled, we can start putting this thing back together. I cannot tell you how many of these Sportsmans I've taken apart and put back to the front end back without putting this clutch cover on. The 05 to 2010, that goes up and over the tank and it's a pain to deal with. I'll tell you this much, this tube, it's not fragile, so if you're messing with one of these and having a hard time, just beat it on. Let's get this front end on, this front cab. Cool. Look at there. We can pop our little cover right here and bop bop. And our front storage box. Dang it. Now I can go ahead and get these latches put on here. Hopefully there wasn't a reason why they pulled them. This thing's got big old nuts. I use this massive wrench to tighten them. These sure are nice to have a whole bunch of new ones around. Trying to reuse these little plastic, they call them rivets. I call them push pins, but we were working on my buddy's unit this weekend. What are we doing to it? Putting a winch on it. And had to remove a ton of these things. And when we put everything back together, we just used all new everything. All right, and here is the rear rack. Nice little piece. Footwell. Dang it. I should have stuck these on while sticking the plastics on. I just gotta find some bolts. All right, we got some new gaskets in. I just need one of them, so I can get this thing installed. I'm gonna try to squeeze on in this. See if we can get to it without pulling everything. And Polaris springs, man, they're a nightmare. So without these spring pullers, I'll have a link to those in the description. You can see how bad that was leaking. I tried putting a used one I had on it. I'm just hoping I could knock it out real quick and be done with it, but. Sounds good. Just need to get this other footwell on. Get it washed and then go up for sale. All right, there she is. That's not terrible. It's pretty good. Now, this saved me from losing money on a bunch of parts. I did still have to buy some stuff for this, but I mean, otherwise I'd have had to buy, you know, all kinds of other stuff. And luckily I was able to salvage a bunch from what I bought and some of the parts from the 500. And I think at this point, this thing's like a $2,500 quad. Clean title, new tires, runs fantastic. I don't know if you're supposed to let pumps prime all the way up like that, but I don't know. I've always done that since I had street bikes. Running beautifully. Those Sun Fs, man, they look good. They sure do look good on here. It would have looked better if I would have kept the aluminum wheels that were on it when I bought it and had these tires put on those, because like, these wheels themselves ain't perfect. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier on in the video, but these right here are $225 a piece. I did not feel like those were gonna bring the value of this thing up for 450 bucks or bring it down past 450. You know, if I had to buy those to get 25 out of it, seems like it'd make more sense just to sell it for 21 and make an extra 50 bucks. I think it's worth 2,500. That's what I'm gonna aim for. I'm gonna put about 2750 on there on the listing. We'll see what she'll do. Yeah, and if you made it this far, last week's video, there's just too many parts didn't come in, and I kind of need to get ahead on some of these videos, man. It's tough sometimes trying to get the video out on Sunday morning whenever I'm still recording on Saturday and got to go through like 8 hours of just editing. It takes me forever. I'm slow. But next week's video, we'll get this Foreman back up and rolling. Let me know what you think. Like, what's that Sportsman worth where you live? I mean, I imagine a bunch of y'all up north, that's probably a $3,500 unit where you live, probably $4,000 if you replace those side covers. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe if y'all ain't subscribed. We just cleared 8,000 subs, which is super cool. I never thought I'd make it that far, much less to be getting that close to 10,000. I know at some point what I really want to do is be able to like give something like this away just to one of the subscribers of the channel, you know, something like that. And we're getting there to where we're getting enough, it's starting to get enough views that I could justify doing something like that, because there's a lot of time and effort and money goes into a unit like this. But we're getting close, getting so close to just being able to give some stuff away. I've wanted to give away a quad since, I don't know, like 2 years ago. Before I started doing the shop vlogs. We're right at a year doing the shop vlogs, because I started the shop vlogs right before I moved into this shop. And I moved in, I think when this video drops, that'll be about right at a year. So we've been in here almost a year now. It's kind of crazy to think about.